Welcome back to part 2, episode 31 of Pass the Rock.
There was some burning. There was a controlled burn happening in a small piece of glass, and I had to put it out.
You took care of it, yeah. This is Pass the Rock.
But The Rock just wanted to do something a little special for Dallas.
Oh
The Rock had asked Mike, asked Brett, would you mind, just for a couple of minutes, can The Rock borrow the Stanley Cup?
What?
Is this what The Rock is cooking?
Hell yeah. Alright, well, fuck it. Let's get it started, guys. Week 1 of the NFL season is in the books. And we had some very sloppy football. Some very, Bethke with his Quincy. Go ahead and show it off for the camera one more time. The Quincy Carter.
No, I was prepared for it. I'm prepared to play off you. Keep going. You're doing well.
Yeah.
I'm just a prop in the background right now.
We had some heartbreak happen for a very specific fan base that can't seem to catch a break, and everything in between.
Fuck them.
And yeah, but before that, gentlemen, we can't have one week 1 discussion without having some week 1 overreactions. And there are plenty to be had. Every fan base should have one. And I think there is no better fan base to start off with than the one that we reside in. Mr. Jacob Bethke, you are up to bat. I need to hear it.
Number one. My question to you.
Yes.
Should the 2007 Patriots be worried?
That's a big one. That's a big overreaction. I didn't expect you to go that way.
Hey, you asked for it. I'm here.
I did. How about we get through, I don't know, a couple more games before we get there, but
no, I'm
right
ready
now?
now.
All right,
Right now.
ready now. Listen, if you put up another 40-0 on the Jets this coming week, then yeah, I would say the New England Patriots of 2007 should absolutely be worried. But I don't know about that.
So I might be. So you're saying I'm your professional opinion. I might be just a little ahead of myself.
Teeny bit, just a teeny bit, not by a lot,
Well,
just a teeny bit. But I mean, other than that, right? Other than
here I
your,
am, you know?
other than that overreaction that you have right there, let's kind of give you a more grounded reaction. What were your thoughts as a fan seeing that 40-0 burger that y'all put up on the New York Giants in the pouring rain on Sunday Night Football?
So
Oh yeah,
no. It was so like it's not obvious. So obviously, it was an amazing way to start off the season. Like especially last year, if you guys can recall how the season started last year, it was like one of the biggest wet farts in the history of ever. But the reality is that it was a wet fart that ended up being a pretty good season. Nice.
thank you.
Oh.
Oh, that sounded.
That ended up being a pretty nice season. So, like, there's always the possibility that this is a great miracle start to a shitty season. That's how the NFL works. So I understand. But at the end of the day, it was a really nice way to start the season. Like that, you don't get many like that, especially on national television. So I appreciate it. It was a fun time to watch the defense play. But I do have some nits to pick.
Go for it.
The start of the game was anything but what it ended up being. Like in my it was a very like, okay, well, this isn't super problematic, but this is certainly this bend don't break. The running the ball still getting an effective amount of yardage. This isn't ideal. Keeping in mind, Mozzie Smith is not expected after a training camp and preseason. I don't think is expected to be a massive contributor until hopefully the second half of the season, should he stay healthy and on the field playing.
He's a rookie this year, right? That's this year's draft.
That's his first
Okay, I
round
thought
pick.
so.
Because he's a good player. He deserves reps, but he doesn't deserve to start necessarily. Like Hankins still takes a lot of it. Odiggy Zua will fit in there along the line of a couple different ways, but he'll fit in there too sometimes. So it's really not a big deal that he's not completely ready to go, but it also kind of reminds you that this is still the weakness that isn't really nothing's changed, right? Effectively until he gets better and really makes an impact at least. Otherwise, though, the defense, there wasn't too much to be complaining about. Even that drive ended in a field goal, right? Like eventually they did their job, or field goal attempt, I should say.
Well, I would just say that, and obviously it's still early in the game, so there's just no telling what's going to happen. But that bad snap that the Giants got, were they in the red zone?
Yeah.
When he had to scramble back, fall down on it, that really, that drive was going somewhere. It looked like, and then that really just
killed
was
it.
the end of the. That ended up being the end of the game. But
yeah, it did end up being the end of the game. That was why it's hard to judge everybody
obviously
here.
Right.
But
I mean, the Cowboys did exactly what they're supposed to do. From an outsider looking in, it was like they did it. I mean, you wouldn't have minded seeing the offense do a little bit more, but they didn't really have to. So it's like, what's the point? I was also a little concerned about them leaving starters in, honestly, as long as they did, because I know it's the NFL and I know they haven't played a lot, but
you want to talk about leaving a starter in longer than they should have? The fucking Giants with Daniel Jones letting him get killed out
I thought you were
there.
gonna say the Jets. I was like, the Jets left a guy in for one whole series and his season's over.
Not even a whole series.
So that actually is fair. I kind of was looking at it. The blocked punt basically opens the portal to hell for the Giants, right? But like, there's two different decisions that I think they're kind of
blocked field goal, right?
Or blocked field goal. Yeah, blocked field goal. Blocked field goal opens the portal to hell.
Real quick, you heard the thing on the story about the gambling that involves that play, right? Where a bunch of people had money on the Cowboys defense scoring their first touchdown of the game, which was supposed to pay out really well. But
is that a special teams touchdown?
Yes. So that's what the casino, the gambling company's like, hey man, that's special teams touchdown. And of course, all the people betting are like, well, when I play fantasy, it's the defense gets that point. But yeah, pretty funny stuff. But yeah, that was crazy, and you're right. That did open the floodgates for the rest of the game.
Yeah, it was straight to hell. But I did want to talk about it. So, this is the point of debate that I wanted to hear your opinion on for both of you guys. Caesar just said it. Daniel Jones staying in the game as long as he did. Is that a bigger sin? Or is the biggest sin of this game the second offensive series for the New York Giants, in which they threw the ball 3 straight times and allowed the Dallas Cowboys defensive line to rev up the fucking engine? And then by that point, remember, this drive is the one that ends in the ball popping out of Saquon's hands and getting intercepted and going into the end zone. Or Trayvon Diggs fumbling.
Intercepted.
Okay.
Another dumb.
I think that's a fumble recovery.
They called it they called it an interception. I'm pretty sure
that one was an interception.
The dumb part.
Okay, so
that's what they were calling it at that point in the game. I don't know if they went back and changed it.
We'll see what Bland got.
Football.
While you're
stats are definitely still in their baby stages.
Yeah, while you're looking for that, I'll lead off the answering your question in that. Like, listen, that second drive, it was something else, but leaving the quarterback that you just paid, you just extended, and you're like, yeah, you are our franchise guy. Like, we are giving you this money to lead us, and lead this new generation of like New York Giants football to somewhere where it hasn't been since Eli Manning. You're letting him get crushed and killed, man. Like, that offensive line could not protect him at all. Like, just not even a little bit. You're letting him take clean hit after clean hit. Like, no one's really getting in the way. The man was a human pinata that game. Like, that, like, in a vacuum is its biggest sin. That the Giants
he still fumbled a couple of times, and they recovered the last two.
I'll be honest. I was talking about the Cowboys leaving their starters in for as long as they did. I wasn't
Yeah,
even
yeah, I
thinking
know
about the
you were talking
Giants.
about. I know you were talking about the Cowboys, but everyone's talking about Daniel Jones at this
Yeah,
point. Even the Cowboys were talking about Daniel Jones, and like, why are you playing this guy?
Yeah,
Apparently.
like there was no need for him to
because you're
be there
paying
because
you're paying him $40 million.
Yeah, I
you
agree.
want to pay him $40 million
And
to be
and
injured
he
because that's
he
what
should
you're
suffer
opening
this.
up to.
He should suffer the shame. Well, that'd be
Hey,
better for them probably.
and you're right.
Um,
Interception for Bland.
Yeah,
Whatever.
no,
Next
it was
week,
it was
Paul
reckless
Stassi
of the
said it.
Giants to do
the
that.
ones it definitely was. The ones where like the receiver catches it and just immediately like throws it behind him to a fucking defender. Those shouldn't be interceptions, but they are, and I hate it.
Yeah, the
Well, they
Dakota
shouldn't go against the
Prescott
quarterback.
fan base would strongly agree with you. But yeah, I thought that was nice. The offense left a lot to be desired. Left a lot to be desired.
They just
Yeah, but at the same
didn't
time, they didn't really
need to do anything.
Yeah.
No, I get it. That's
Pollard
why
looked
it's
great.
basically incomplete. Yeah, Pollard looked nice. I
Yeah.
agree. I thought that
It was a
you
good
got
warm up. Good
you
little
got
warm up game.
you got a lot of luck in this game if you're the Cowboys, and I'm not just talking about certain things like there was like Dak almost dacked it up in the first drive. You know, the field goal they get, he fucking has a Dak fumble, but I think Zach or Biotish saved his ass, or maybe he fell
Biotish,
down.
Tyler landed on one.
And so yeah, I think that was kind of one of those things. There was obviously a hilarious amount of
I was literally
misfortune on the other
thinking-
side.
I was literally thinking about this of the Cowboys got every bounce except for the only thing I could think that wasn't a bounce in their favor was on one punt when the ball happened to roll back up the field like 4 yards where the Cowboys could down it. I think that was the one bounce they didn't quite get in their favor. It didn't roll more towards the end zone.
I guess it depends on how you view
everything.
the first extra point attempt of the season.
I forgot about that. I missed that entire
Yeah.
sequence. Honestly, in my head, I was like, oh, maybe on like a blocked field goal, it's like the extra point. They just don't kick it because it wasn't a.
Nope.
I just
That's
thought
just
they didn't get
our MLS player.
your USFL kicker.
So yeah, that was an interesting one. Dak also had some issues with drop balls. He sailed some balls. You know, there was a lot to, like I said, a lot to be desired. When it comes to the kicker, I am happy all in all with the day's performance. And I feel 90% sure it's better than Brett Maher. So that's good.
Absolutely. And I think the best thing you can miss is the first one. And then
Yeah,
just don't miss for
yeah.
a long time after that, and you're like,
He
all
had
right, I'm good.
some-
Like, and kicking is all mental. It's
Yeah.
1,000% mental. Everyone
I
can
agree.
kick a ball.
I feel well. I can't really, but yes, I do agree that
But,
those
like,
guys
if you did
could
it-
if they just
I'm
weren't
just saying
fucking.
of the guys
Yeah.
the guys who have the job,
Yes,
they can all kick
yes, I
every
agree.
field goal.
Big fan of the Cowboys wide receiving core, except still don't feel like I just that big body. There's not that big body out there, and that's kind of what I'm a little frustrated about. I feel like it's such a nice one. Cooks is such a useful little, and he's gonna. I love Cooks. I hope he stays healthy because he's gonna bail Dak's ass out of so many situations. I can already tell. And CD got a little bit of a. It's gonna be. They're gonna need to get more creative on how they get him the ball. This week will be tough to do that, but at the end of the day, CD will be fine playing the way he
They
plays.
still got him the ball a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Although
although
he got at least one touchdown.
it might be tough, but it might be also the best chance to get creative because you're going to have to get creative against a defense that's swarms around the ball
Yes.
like
yes.
the Jets do.
So maybe
But we'll talk
maybe
about that
we
later.
will. Yeah, I like the tight end group too.
I
They need
think
work.
Cooks. I think bringing Cooks was very important. Not trying to run Lamb as a one was very important.
Well, but-
I
yeah,
think
they're
he's
kinda
good, but he's
1A,
not
1B.
there yet. Yeah,
Because they kind of.
but
I don't think
the
that either one of them.
I think
are-
defenses treat Cooks more like a one than they ever would Lamb, and that
Yeah,
opens
that's
the
fair.
door more.
I have to disagree with that one. Honestly.
We'll see how the
I
season
said,
goes.
Cooks
I think
has
that's
been-
very in flux. I think it could be week to week that these guys are viewed like that. They're very neck and neck.
Lamb just had such a great year last year. He's going to develop that reputation as like the guy in Dallas. even above Cooks.
And I think CD
I
could really take another step forward this season. And
Cooks is
Brandon
so much of
already
like
kind of who he is.
Yeah, he is who he is. He's one of the most productive journeyman receivers you'll ever see. And we can call him that because he's been on so many different teams.
Very reliable set of hands so far. And that was
Yeah.
I was very impressed with him catching a ball in the middle, basically like Jason Witten used to, does not go unnoticed by me because the guy that's throwing the balls in Dallas likes that kind of thing. But the tight end group I really enjoyed. Obviously, they all kind of were the part. I think they attributed for most of the drops, if not all of them. But I like them as a group and as a potential core. Ferguson looks like he is in great shape and like looks like he kind of took that next year jump of athleticism. So it'd be exciting to see if that's something real or if he's just even above average.
Sucks for me. I grabbed one of the Cowboys' backup tight ends in my dynasty roster, hoping that Ferguson wouldn't make it and that my guy would get in, but it's not going to happen. So,
Schoonemaker?
Yeah,
yeah,
Hendershot?
I took Schoonemaker.
Okay.
He's wasting away on my bench.
Yeah, Schoonemaker might not play much this year, but I like Hendershot a lot. I wish Hendershot had better hands because Hendershot would be fun as fuck. But he's not. I don't know. They have an interesting group. I wish they kind of got a little more fun with the offense. I was really sad to find out that I wasn't allowed to watch Trey Lance even if they wanted to. I didn't like that rule.
New
Fuck
rule.
that rule. But yeah, so it is what it is. Big shout out to Wanye Thomas. That's such a cool fucking story, and I'm glad that that's going to continue. And Marquise Bell, thank you, fucking the Lord and Savior Tom Landry. I think is who I'm supposed to pray to as a Cowboys fan. He is really saving us in the absence of DeMario and Overshawn. I feel like those two guys could be the key to saving us from missing that very, very, very unnecessarily vital rookie player that we probably shouldn't have needed that much use of DeMarvion, but like, man, that dude was about to really be what the doctor ordered. So I really
Can you
think
remind me, is he out for the year?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to rush him back either. Even
I couldn't remember what it was.
Even if he has a good everything, I think they still probably just let that one go into next season. So, big picture, it was great. Our current moment, it was great. Big picture, it's just 1-0.
1-0, and week 1, I think now with the 17 game, with the 17 team schedule, the reduced preseason, really is like the dress rehearsal for the rest of the season.
It's pretty much week 0 in college football, like what we saw.
Yeah, but we'll talk more about. I guess we'll go more into that as we continue on the segment. Now, we'll go ahead and bring it over to you, Patrick. I know that you're not one to get overly excited about the Minnesota Vikings, but I can do, as you said, dramatic apathy. So I'm ready to hear what you thought about them absolutely just putting up a stinker against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield, who apparently was able to read the signals of the Vikings defense.
Look, if that's how he plays when he knows what's going on, then I feel really bad for that team because they're going nowhere. He was okay, but he wasn't. I know what's happening. Good.
Hey man, they just need something right
Vikings,
now.
Yeah, but let's get your reaction to that loss. What's your quote unquote overreaction for that Minnesota Vikings loss?
Sure. If I was gonna play on super online NFL guy, I would be calling for everyone's heads. I'd be saying to cut Kirk. Let's see what we got behind him as time. Just all that nonsense. It just makes me tired.
Did the BYU guy even win the second job?
Oh, Hall, Jared Hall, I think is his name.
Jordan Hall. Jordan Hall.
There's the whole season rests in the hands of Kirk Cousins, pretty much, as you saw on Sunday, which was.
That's not a good thing to say.
Can you see him do it? And he did not. Oh yeah, I forgot about Nick.
He's not that guy.
Not that guy, pal. Yeah. So look, that was one of the most Vikings games I can imagine. They play to their opponent's skill level every single game. Doesn't matter who you are. You could be 0-15. You could be 15-0. It's gonna be fucking one score game in the last minute and a half, and you're gonna like it. And then it just comes down to who makes those final few plays. And it wasn't us this week, and it probably won't be a lot of weeks. Brian Flores trying things out with a pretty rough defense. They honestly didn't do too poorly, but again, it's Baker Mayfield, so
It is
kind of easy to contain. Honestly, I think if what we held them to, it was like 21. Was it 21?
20
or
points.
something?
It was
like
20 to 17. Yeah, and then
Well,
if you
if you-
want to
yeah, if
go
you hold
by
if you're
overall
holding an NFL
yards,
or an NFL, if you're holding an NFL team to 20 points, you should never lose that game. That's
oh well,
that's the
let's.
long and short of it.
I want to go a little bit deeper into the overall performance of the Minnesota Vikings defense, just statistically, because when I look at just the comparison between the two teams, I'm like, all right, I still don't understand how the Vikings lost this game. Because if you look at
Third down conversions and turnovers.
yeah, if you just look at total yards, 242 for the Bucks, 369 for the Vikings. The Bucks got 3.6 yards per play. The Vikings 5.9. But yeah, I guess you're right. The part where it got lost is in the turnover battle. 3 for the Vikings, none for the Bucks, and that made the difference in a tight game like this. Because even the battle
Yeah.
of time of possession was pretty dead even for both teams. So it's just a rough one to go.
Excuse me. When you're coming off having the 28th worst defense in the league, you can't lose the turnover battle. And that's gonna be the long and short of it. The Vikings, as skilled as they are at wide receiver and sometimes at quarterback, depending on how his brain's operating on any given play, that's not enough. The offensive line's not good enough. The starting centers out, so it's not gonna get better there. We're bad in the spots where you can't be bad. We're good in some spots where it's fun to watch, but we're not good enough to win enough games consistently. It's
and I think
but I also knew it was going to be this way when Kevin O'Connell took over. They're going to be stripping down the entire Mike Zimmer decade and starting over. So that's what you got to do.
And I think what people might forget is that how lucky, or sometimes it's better, and it is sometimes better to be lucky than good. In a lot of regards. But the record in one-score games last season was, let's be real, it was ridiculous. Like you don't see that often, and that's not something that can carry over.
I'd also say that they just play more one-score games than other people. So like that's just how it goes. Because like I said, they always just play. They just play to the opponent. They get blown out every once in a while. Every once in a while they'll blow someone out. But around 80% of the games is just whatever's happening, they match it. So almost everything is 1 or 2 possessions down the stretch every single time.
Yeah, and then but back to finishing. What I was saying was, with that, you can expect a lot, and I think not just yourself, but Viking fans in general, just a regression to the mean in terms of like one-score records, where it's typically more like 50-50, like it can go either way, as opposed to last year where it was just so one-sided in the favor of the Vikings. So it could be a struggle, or who knows? Maybe they can pull off some magic again. They will have a favorable defense they're playing against, I would say, which kind of leads me to my overreaction with the Philadelphia Eagles after that performance against the Patriots, and we are fucked on defense because we don't have any linebackers. Don't have any safeties, and the ones that we do have are already hurt. So I am expecting a really rough season just based on week 1. I am not expecting to have a very fun season, and that is my overreaction on week 1. However, I'm going to bring it back down, get some levity. Levity? Whatever. Yeah, I think that's the word. and we'll talk about this. And
like
BETHKE, I
that.
see you with the Birdman hand rub. Feel free to ask me anything about the game as I do my little
No, I
monologue
just
here.
you sold it to me already. I'm buying what you're selling.
I don't like that you're buying from someone, but all right, that's fair. For those who didn't watch the game, the Eagles did get by the New England Patriots on Tom Brady Day, or a day they were inducting him into their Hall of Fame, which is weird that you would do it against the Eagles. Just because, why not against like a division opponent when he was a reign of terror, or maybe like the Colts if you had them on their schedule.
What
Just
if
in general,
what if
I just
Bob
feel like
Kraft
it's a
was
better
just
team.
trying to be a friend and he was like, Tom, if I don't do this, I think you're gonna play for somebody this year. And I
think
need
it's
to do this.
It was just week 1, and he's like, "We just want to do it week 1 at home."
It's still
It's
just
true.
I
But
feel like you should put more thought into it than just.
I'd
it's
like
week
to
one.
think that Bob Kraft was trying to make
mean,
it even more
Tom
awkward
might
for
have
him to
picked
play
it.
again.
I don't think
Tom
would
might have picked it
that.
himself just to get it out of the way. They're like, "We're doing it," and he's like, "All right, just fucking week 1, let's get it out of the way."
Dude, he
not
was
like he has
vibing
anything
too.
in
He was
common.
having a great time. I think he was a little sauced too.
He
Having a few
at the
drinks
beginning of the
without
game,
him.
at the beginning of the game, he looked like he wanted so desperately to be down there playing. And then as the game progressed and he got a couple more, and he's like, "Fuck this."
Yeah, by halftime they
saw a
interviewed
couple
him.
quarterbacks get hit, and was like, "Ooh."
He's like, "I don't miss that part."
Yeah, they interviewed him at halftime, and he was pumped. He was like, "I thought it was gonna be an ass whooping, but now we're coming back." And you could tell he's a little sauced.
Yeah, and speaking of that though, the Eagles did get out to a 16-0 start. It should have been 17, but Jake Elliott missed an extra point. Man, that watching the Eagles on offense was just like pulling teeth because there was no creativity. There was no real deep. They had one deep shot to AJ Brown that got called back, and it was just like I couldn't really put my finger on it because I've never seen the Eagles play like this under the current regime, where it's just like there was no attempt at trying to generate offense. They were just like, "Hey, you're a more talented team, so just be more talented." I'm like, is this like the Jason? Am I seeing a Jason Garrett style of offense right now? Because that's what it felt like. I was like, I've seen this before, and I don't like it.
Jason Garrett's just like, "I'm gonna find a new podcast to listen to. What are these Pass the Rock? Let's see what this is about."
There's been plenty of Jason Garrett slander, and it's come from my co-host here.
There's a lot of consistent Jason Garrett slander here, though. We've gotten into it multiple times.
It usually has to do with the Cowboys.
Yeah, this one is pretty stray though. He did catch this one was wild. This was definitely one of the more wild
Could have
strays.
picked anyone.
Well, listen.
No, I love it. I'm going with it. Let's go.
No,
Nick Sirianni is Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, like,
if you can promise me 3 straight 8-8 seasons, Hall of Fame.
Well, it'd have to be 8-8-1.
Huh?
So it would have to be 8-8-1 because of that 17.
Oh, duh. You're right.
Which would be even more impressive.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah. Figure it out. Damn, that's
man,
true.
yeah,
no one will ever be able to.
You gotta plan for that.
No one's ever going to be able to tie that beautiful, mediocre ginger.
Oh well, Sean Payton had like 3 straight 7-9 seasons, so he was there. He was challenging.
Yeah, but that one's below average. So that's really on your. That's like actually below average every year. The best part about 8-8 is that it always gave just enough wiggle room for Jerry to be like, oh, some things didn't go our way.
True.
Yeah, like the NFL is a lot of like people going like basically like flipping the number.
Yeah.
And then you just get stuck. You just get stuck.
True.
So that was why I always hated 8-8, and why I feel like it's a special place in hell for me, And just sports hell is just 8-8. I'm glad it's gone. Actually, it's a little triggering.
Yeah. Well, I mean, somebody did go 8-8-1 last season. I forgot who it was. I think it was the Steelers, actually. But I'll have to look that up. Anyway, back to this game though. Yeah, no. Speaking of hell, your own personal hell, that game, I think online for a lot of Eagles fans, it was the most furious I think anybody's ever been for a win. They're like, I've never just seen something where like an entire fan base is both relieved that they won, but angry at the way that they did it. And that was just emblematic of this game.
Almost every win ever.
with almost a lot of fan bases.
Well,
too.
see, but like with you or with like, the Vikings, it's like it's a stress-inducing game. This one was more like
sometimes you get the miracle, but sometimes you're like you should have won this game by 4 touchdowns. What's happening here?
Yeah, the Eagles definitely should have won that game by way more. But as I kind of alluded to earlier, with the linebacker and the safety core, once that the New England Patriots realized that the Eagles are really good at pass rush and really good at outside corner, but really bad in the middle of the field, Jones had a field day, man. He looked like a competent starting NFL quarterback. He looked good. Kendrick Bourne looked really great. The only person who didn't really look that great was Juju and Ezekiel Elliott. I mean,
what are you talking about? Don't bury the lead on what Zeke did. Zeke had one notable play.
Yeah,
well, he did do that, but that's not the one I'm talking about because I knew y'all would bring up that hating shit.
Hey, that's the only
play. You know what he did? What did he do? What did he do? I saw it. I saw it live.
Jones?
Huh? No center.
The ball to Mac Jones
no
in midfield
center
with no one else around.
Caesar, you don't know what he did?
I
thought that was his
I
function.
forgot all about it. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm so happy. I was so happy for Zeke because he fumbled and I felt bad.
He had one good run, right?
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Look, I'm sorry. I'm not a bad person. I'm just proud of Zeke. It was bad. Zeke needed this. There's a reason Fletcher Cox may not be playing next week. He took an Ezekiel Elliott to the chest. I saw it happen. I was like, I don't root for players that get injured at all, bro. I want him to be healthy and play. But a part of me was like, good for you, Zeke. Get your own. Because he did. Yeah. He took fucking Zeke straight to the chest, and they were like, uh-oh, hold on. We might have to get this motherfucker off the field.
Well, the only problem with that is that we have a very talented defensive tackle.
I get it. Hey, I get it. You get to do your Jalen Carter. I'm just happy for Zeke. I'm not doing any victory laps for the Cowboys. I'm doing a victory lap for Ezekiel Elliott as his own man.
That's fair. That's your boy.
Good for him.
But I do want to take one victory lap on said guy, Jalen Carter, because that was one of the few bright spots in this game. He led all defensive tackles in the NFL in pressures in week 1 as a rookie. That hasn't been done, I believe, since Aaron Donald, since 2018. So since 2018, there hasn't been a defensive tackle to lead the league in pressures in week 1, especially not a rookie. So he looked great. He looked good as advertised, especially on the money downs. He was all up in Mac Jones's face, getting the ball out, and then he finally got to him. Right in that key drive, I think it was the last drive that the Patriots had. But man, let me tell you something about that last drive that the Eagles offense had. Because I was screaming at Nick Sirianni. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Classic Eagles, just overreaction. But on this drive, the Eagles are just chipping away at the clock. Despite the fact that the Patriots have 4 opportunities to stop the clock. They have the 2-minute warning and all 3 of their timeouts. There is no way to burn through all that. Just running the ball up the middle and not even trying to challenge for a deep shot down the field or just to advance the ball further up some way other than like just a conservative approach. And then I don't know what it was, but they run out the offense back for 4th down. They don't get it, but it's like, hey, if you're 3rd and 7, right? 3rd and 7, you should, if you are playing for 4th down, you should do something to take a shot, and they didn't. And I'm like, man, what kind of offensive football am I watching right now? What is the philosophy in this? And granted, the Eagles do have 2 new coordinators, one on offense, one on defense, and so it's gonna be some growing pains. Shane Steichen wasn't exactly like amazing his first year, but that's had more to do with the lack of weapons to work with. But man, speaking of weapons, they had Dallas Goedert 1 target the whole game. Arguably a top 10 tight end, really explosive. 1 target. I mean, the targets that the AJ Brown got weren't that great. They weren't attacking deep down the middle of the field. Devonta Smith had a touchdown, but again, his targets were really shallow. nothing to like challenge the Patriots, who were missing their best cornerback and in Jack Jones. So I was like coming out that game like, no, this Vikings game is gonna be a little rough. But we will talk about that Vikings game after we talk about a fan base who's having it really rough today. And they had it rough on Monday Night Football. Patrick, you know what to play.
Keep going.
So, there's a loud roar when Rodgers leaves the game hurt in the first quarter.
I mean, I'm not necessarily opposed to Rodgers, but tonight I'm thinking with my wallet instead.
And the mood has changed considerably. That is because the Jets just won the game. This is the reaction from a bar where people are realizing the bar tabs they've been racking up all night, thinking, certainly with Rodgers hurt, the bar was going to be paying that tab. They were going to have to pay that tab.
No! Oh, this is not how this was supposed to go. I had it all planned out.
Yeah. Thank you for that wonderful audio. Oh, this is gonna sound so much better on the edited version of this. But anyway,
No idea what you're
for
talking
those of you
about.
who don't know, who don't watch Monday Night Football or live in a rock, the ayahuasca man himself, he's down and he's out with a torn Achilles. Aaron Rodgers, New York's Jets season lasted a total of 75 seconds. Oh man, it was a rough day. Good luck editing that one out. Yeah, MetLife. That MetLife turf has been under a lot of scrutiny lately because it seems to be a cursed place. The Jets seem to be a cursed franchise. That fan base is a cursed fan base. We've lost Aaron Rodgers, and in comes Zach Wilson. And man, if just imagine, you're a hardened New York Jets fan, right? You have years and years and years of mediocrity, false promises. You think you might have something in the early years of Mark Sanchez, Rex Ryan. You have that elite defense. You go to back-to-back AFC Championship games. You kick out Tom Brady in one of them.
Straight.
Oh, three straight. Yeah, 3 straight. One of them, to get there, they beat the GOAT. They beat the GOAT. And you think, man, we're just one of these years, it has to be ours. And then after that, you've just been toiling away as one of the worst run franchises in the NFL. And here comes Aaron Rodgers, right? He's the GOAT, right? Or he's one of them. He's in the conversation. He comes in, all this hype. You're on Hard Knocks. You have a young elite defense. You have a up and coming wide receiver in Garrett Wilson, who had a spectacular catch on Monday Night Football. What should have been an interception, he just wrestled that thing away and made one of the best catches on Monday Night Football that I can remember in recent history. You
It was
have
a cool play, and I'll probably put it up under here where he like. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go. Absolutely. Go for it. Anyway, yeah, so you have all that going on. And then it ends just as quickly as it began, right? Blows his Achilles, and now your hopes, your dreams rest on the shoulders of the guy that you wanted out, a guy who was clearly, visibly not ready to play in the NFL, and Zach Wilson. Yes, he comes with a pedigree of being the second overall pick, but that was a contentious second overall pick where it seemed like draft scouts were either half, yes, he's the next Mahomes, and the other half is like, no, this guy is not Mahomes. He is not as advertised. There's a lot of holes in his game. There's a lot of flaws. He's just not cut out for this, and he's not on the right team for what his talents actually are. He came in. He didn't have like a clean game, but it was efficient. 14-21. He got that touchdown. obviously, at the end of the game, they did not trust him to push the ball down the field. They ran the ball, and they kicked that field goal to send it into overtime, where the rookie, his first name is escaping me, but I believe his last name is Gibson.
Yeah.
Gibson had that punt return for a touchdown. He was on Hard Knocks, shown as like one of the last guys to make it onto the team. So he goes from zero to hero real quick. And
how do you feel about the punter though? The punter's effort on that play,
bro. What the fuck was that? I've never seen. Like, I get it, kickers, punters, the joke of them not being like real athletes. But man, I have seen some punters go out and try to lay a huge hit on the returner whenever they get a chance. Yeah, you get one or the other. But this one was just like, he went for like a push, but he was like, instead of going for the push, right, like leaning into it, he like goes for a push, but then he himself kind of jumps back with the push. I'm like, oh, okay. I've never seen anybody avoid contact like that before in an NFL game. So, that punter is probably definitely public enemy number one in the Bills locker room. Even though
I don't think
should be.
I don't think that punter, and I don't think anyone thinks about that punter for a second after that game.
Oh, I don't know about that. At least the special teams unit is like, what the
teams,
fuck
special
did you
teams
do?
absolutely, they care. Yeah, okay, they care. Yeah.
Josh Allen's immediate CTE.
There's a bigger lightning rod to take all the blame here, and it's the QB one.
Yeah, that one, QB one definitely.
This guy is Brett Favre with superhero serum in him. Like they just made him a little bit bigger and faster. Same guy.
He's if Brett Favre had Cam Newton's body before Cam Newton's body broke down.
They just fucking gloated up a little bit.
Yeah, but the real conversation though we're having here.
When he's on, he looks like the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
And when he's off, he looks.
Mahomes is something.
Hey,
no, he's up there with him.
It's rough.
How many quarterbacks have you ever seen throw between like 3 or 4 defenders and actually make the throw? And the only reason they made the throw is because they had 1, the balls to say fuck it, and 2, the arm strength to do it. That's what I'm saying. With some of these quarterbacks are hilarious. The Brett Favre is like a philosophical person's dream because like his whole career is just this great like philosophical journey of a man with great power and but with not necessarily ability.
How can I defraud the state government?
Great power didn't quite get the
great irresponsibility.
Great irresponsibility.
Great irresponsibility.
Have you ever seen the Brett Favre "What Should I Do" parody ad?
Oh God, no.
Do you remember? Remember the LeBron "What Should I Do" Nike ads?
Fuck, maybe I have. Yeah, I do remember the "What Should I Do"
with the guy doing Brett Favre, and he's like, "What should I do? Should I send more pictures of my penis?" I'll send that to y'all later. There's a lot of good one-liners in there.
Well, no,
please do. But in fact, just add that drop somewhere.
I do have a couple of things here, since we're on the subject of Favre. One, sorry for the Jets, but like Aaron Rodgers is gonna fulfill the prophecy next year. So
maybe
good luck, Patrick. And 2,
they'd have to trade him. He's under contract, right?
Are we sure
he's free yet?
Are we sure he actually got injured?
I don't know. I seen the clip. His Achilles looked like that thing popped. So
look into that.
Or are we having like Aaron Rodgers conspiracy theories right now? Because this would be so wild. All right, but I like it. It's on brand for him to have the conspiracy theory.
You didn't mention that he texted all the reporters that said that he didn't like the way the line was blocking.
I was gonna bring that up.
Okay, nice.
Kind of got a little derailed, but yeah, he did in fact leak out, which is so wild.
We don't know. Okay, so in fact,
no, we know. It's not hard to tell who leaked that out.
This is one of those LeBron situations where you can't say it, but we know. You got to look, but Brian Windhorst is reporting.
Yeah, and on this one, it wasn't even like, we have reports that Aaron Rodgers. It was like, yeah, Aaron Rodgers said this. He's kind of like almost quoted as saying it. But like, obviously, I think the report was like, oh, Aaron Rodgers made it known that he didn't like the cut block because it forces him to get rid of the ball out. And of course, on that play where he popped his Achilles or tore that thing, it was cut block. It was a cut block scheme. It didn't work out, obviously. And obviously, here's the thing. If you didn't like that scheme, right? And you don't like a lot of what's happening with the offense, why hire the offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, who used to be the offensive coordinator for Aaron Rodgers? Like, that's your boy, but if that's not the guy that you trust philosophically on offense, why is he there?
Also,
I don't know. But either way.
It also feels like something you would have heard brought up in the 4 or 5 weeks of Hard Knocks when they're talking about how great everything is and how everything's going to be fun and they're loving every bit.
Yeah,
you hear one mention of, by the way, can we not do this one thing I don't like?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I could see that being a point of contention, like to have some sort of drama in the show. But, gentlemen, I think there's enough of Aaron Rodgers talk. I mean, I think just before we move on from him and go on to more like speculative talk regarding the Jets quarterback situation, I do kind of have a weird feeling that he will be back. I mean, he said as much that he's going to try, which would be very impressive for a 40-year-old quarterback to come back from a torn Achilles, because he will be 40 by the time next season rolls around. I mean, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility if during the rehab portion of, his recovery that maybe it's a little too hard. Maybe it's just his body doesn't heal the same, and then he is forced to retire, in which case that's a sad way for a career to end. With all that hype, and then you just walk out. I know that like you don't like him because he was just a bully to the NFC North a good chunk of the time, and then a lot of the time you felt like he wasn't warranted.
Kind of an ass.
That too. I will say
you don't have to apologize for not liking a guy that his own family.
Exactly, and I saw a tweet like that. Someone's like, "This man has a family that he doesn't even talk to, so go ahead and make the jokes." I was like, "That's good, that's good." But yeah,
if you've never seen when his brother was on
Bachelor,
was it The Bachelorette or The Bachelor?
Like
yeah, and they he's on The Bachelor, and they had like a shot at a dinner, like he was bringing the girl home to meet the family, and there's like a shot of the kitchen table, and on one side of the table there's just a set plate and an empty chair. They're like, we set this for Aaron just in case, even though we haven't talked to him in 4 years.
God,
that man is stubborn, bro. That man is stubborn.
Well, yeah, but think about the kind of people that would put that in their TV show. Those are the people he's like, I don't want to talk to them. I'm like, yeah, I get it, man. That's I wouldn't want to talk to them either.
Fair point.
Yeah. Fair point. But yeah, back onto the story of the Jets, though. Whether we've seen the last of Aaron Rodgers or not, that remains to be seen. I don't think so, but who knows? You never know how the body's going to recover, especially at his age. But let's talk about just kind of like real quickly. He take over for him. Now, the Jets have gone on to say that this is Zach Wilson's team. I take that with a huge grain of salt because there's no way you actually believe in this guy even a little bit. Because if you did, you wouldn't go out and get somebody to replace him. And the only reason that Zach Wilson's on the team is because no one was going to trade for him to begin with. So, I saw somewhere where I believe it was Derek Carr on the NFL Network. It's like, hey, this is his team, you don't want to bring a veteran in to mess up the QB room and the chemistry. I'm like, no, you do. You do want to bring a veteran in because if he goes down, then you have Tim Boyle, who I don't think has ever played in the NFL. Like, he's been on the Packers before. I don't think he's gotten any real significant action, anything meaningful at least. So you want to roll in with Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle, despite having all that talent on offense and defense? Oh, no. No, gentlemen, I'm going to throw some names out. You can run from it. You can try to hide from it. But sometimes your destiny is what it is. I'm thinking there's a new man in town from Fargo, North Dakota. Rolling right in. and he's gonna show the Jets what a wild ride really is. I'm thinking Carson Wentz is gonna get a phone call, and that man can add a New York Jets jersey to that little picture that he has, where he has like a Colts helmet. Nope, he's a free agent. With good reason. He's not a guy who wants to be a backup. He doesn't have the mentality of a backup. I don't think he has like any inkling to try to even assimilate into a backup role. This is a guy who wants to be a starter or nothing. When I see Zach Wilson, I kind of see a little Wentzian style of play. Like I see like in his brain, there's like a little monkey with like the little, what do you call that? The symbols. Yeah. That's what I see when I see Zach Wilson. Well, why not just get a more experienced version of that with Carson Wentz? If you really just want to, throw caution to the wind. I don't believe in Wentz, but I think it would be so funny if that's who they relied on.
Wait,
but if we are talking,
deadline? When's the trade deadline?
It's October.
It's like week 9 or something.
Let's see. Let me look that up.
Get Carson Wentz in. We know how that's going to go. In about 3 weeks, give me a call.
October 31st.
4th round pick for Carson Wentz light, Cooper Rush.
All right. No, you forgot to add Bossman. That
can't include him in the trade.
Gone.
Can't include him in the trade.
You can find a way.
That trade already paid off.
Yeah.
Well, listen, let's some real options though. You have guys who Teddy Bridgewater, who's not great, obviously, but serviceable in a pinch. And this is a bit of a pinch right here. Jameis Winston in New York Jets. That would be fun. That would be a fun one. But if you're really desperate and you really want to make a statement and you really want to piss off another fan base, man, I believe his name is Woody Johnson, the owner of the Jets, you go to Tom Brady with an open checkbook. You say, this is what I'm going to pay you under the table. I know you just got inducted to the Patriots Hall of Fame, but why not be a Jet for one season? Just one season. Try it out. We have a great defense. We have a serviceable offense. What do we think? Tom Brady, a Jet? Will we like that? Will we hate that? I personally am for chaos.
You better call Jameis.
I mean, Jameis would be fun. Another 30 for 30 year could be incoming.
I would rather see Brady come back, although he'd probably ruin his legacy by doing so.
Nah, it's hard to ruin a legacy with 6 Super Bowls.
We already brought him up. He'll end up needing the money to pay back the government anyway. Let's get Favre's old ass.
7, sorry.
I wonder.
I mean, there's backup quarterbacks to be had. I mean, wouldn't it be funny if they just called up the Cowboys and they're like, "Hey, we'll just give you a 2nd round pick for Trey Lance," and he just gets tossed around like a hot potato?
If that happened, though, that would be fantastic for me and sad at the same time. It would be a little bad, but it would be like also suck a nut at this 2nd round pick that we just fucking got for nothing, basically, for just no reason.
Yeah.
And I'm just throwing that.
They launder a pick. For real.
Yeah,
So, I don't think that's reality, but I mean, honestly,
not at all.
it would be cool to see a situation where they are interested in Cooper Rush, because that would be funny to me, because I just want to see if a world existed where that would happen. Like Trey Lance getting traded again could make some sense. If someone really bought into the Cooper Rush experience like that, I would be baffled and impressed, and I would be laughing to the bank. With all due respect to my backup quarterback. With all due respect to my backup quarterback.
Yeah.
That would be a tough, but like if you put anything of value on the market to get him to try to compete for a Super Bowl, that's crazy. That's crazy.
That would be
even a 4th round pick, I'd still be like, damn, that's crazy. All right, let's roll.
Well, crazier things have probably happened in the NFL, and just some other names that I've seen thrown around. Phillip Rivers, who hasn't played in a long time. Matt Ryan, who is not officially retired, but like those guys are old.
He's on TV.
And just not. that's just not real options to me.
Robert
So I don't know
Griffin
what the Jets
III.
do. Yeah, can we talk about that? And the guy's like, yeah, you guys got like Wentz, myself. Like, we can't, like, guys that we can still play football, but, you know, we're such big names that we're distractions. Dominic Foxworth has the face of, like, I know this guy didn't just mention himself in that category. Like,
I don't know. I
RG3.
think Wentz and RG3 are definitely in a category together.
Sure, of guys who shouldn't be in the league anymore.
Uh,
Now,
That's fair.
RG3, I love you on on the college broadcast, but buddy, bro, you looked awful in Cleveland, you looked awful in Baltimore. You just
kind of forgot about
No.
Cleveland.
Most people do. But yeah, I mean, I got nothing else on this Jet situation. We'll see how they play it out. I think it would be irresponsible and wild for them to continue on with Zach Wilson, but we'll see. We'll see. But for now, gentlemen, let's move on to the next topic at hand. It is watch it, skip it, or a train wreck. I wish we had like a train wreck sound drop.
It's time for another edition of Caesars. Watch it, skip it, or train wreck.
All right. I love that. I love that. Thank you for that, Patrick. Now, gentlemen,
God damn it.
I love that we have that sound. Because now there's just gonna be a little weird.
I'm
splice
sorry, bro.
right
You
there.
don't click on it. Like I wasn't gonna click it. Like
I
come
know,
on, man.
I know.
Same.
That was a message for me. That was a message for me to remember what that was.
But I wanted to know what it was.
Same.
All right,
But anyway,
here we are.
let's try this exercise. Now, the way that this works, for those who need a little bit of reminder or need some clarification from last week, what I'm going to do on this part of the football segment, I'm going to bring 2 games apiece to each of those categories. Watch it, skip it, train wreck, and we're going to discuss which one best fits that category, and go from there. So, watch it. Obviously, the games that we at Pass the Rock feel like you, the audience, should absolutely watch on Sunday due to the potential of a high quality football game. Skip it because it's going to be absolutely boring. It's going to bore you to tears. It's going to waste your Sunday. There's plenty of other games to watch. And then train wreck. It's not too dissimilar from skip it, because skip it is a game so bad it's not worth your attention. But this one is a game so bad, so absolutely atrocious, that you just can't look away. It's like a tire fire, or in this case, a train wreck. Gentlemen, here are the games that I'm going to present to you, my co-hosts, for Watch It, Skip It, and Train Wreck. So for the Watch It category, I have the Kansas City Chiefs and the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's right, we have Patrick Mahomes up against Sunshine himself and Trevor Lawrence. This should be a high-scoring affair should Kansas City get back Travis Kelce. As everybody knows, this, especially from that Thursday night football game that we saw, that wide receiving core
They missed him.
really rough, and they missed him. He opens up so much for them in the middle of the field. He makes it easier for the rest of these guys who aren't stars, who aren't true number one receivers in any given sense, to show themselves to be useful to Andy Reid, to Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, Chris Jones back, so they finally have an interior threat.
I was about to ask about that.
Yeah, and he signed a 1-year deal.
That was,
or I guess
it was
and
kind of
they-
weird seeing
essentially-
him in the stands.
yeah, that was weird, but you know what? I was rocking with it.
He wanted to see the banner thing, which I thought was cool, but it's just weird because normally in a
He also had a
holdout,
Seattle
you're not gonna
Seahawks
be
They
hat.
there.
called it a soft holdout or a
And
hold
I-
in, right?
But wasn't
Yeah,
he
a
like
hold-in?
in like the owner's? He was like in the owner's box, so it's not like it's
Yeah,
not like he like
so-
bought a ticket or something.
Clearly, they were still negotiated in good faith, if that's the case, right? Like he didn't have to go and sit
Yeah.
with everybody else. But yeah, this is one of the games that I wanted to present to you guys because we saw the return of Calvin Ridley. The man went off, hadn't played football in a year, comes back, 8 catches, 101 yards, a touchdown, instant chemistry with Trevor Lawrence. He looked as good as advertised. Trevor Lawrence looked good as advertised. That defense for the Jaguars a little shaky. But that's to be expected. They're still working some kinks out. Kansas City obviously didn't have the greatest game against the Lions, but they had plenty of opportunities to still win that game despite missing Travis, despite missing Chris Jones. So that's one game that I want to present to you guys for watch it. The next one, and this one was a tough one. I didn't know really where to go back and forth. This would have been the spot where I would have put Dallas and the Jets with Rodgers gone. I can't in good conscience put that on there. How about this? How about the Green Bay Packers and the Atlanta Falcons? So you have Jordan Love, his debut, right? It's his team now. He goes up against the Bears. Granted, it's a bad Bears team. Still, it's the NFL.
Future division winner Bears.
Future division. That's a shaky prediction right now, but yeah, there's still time. It is week 1.
Week 1.
But
you'll notice I didn't say anything about my NFC East prediction earlier.
No, that one was bad. And I told you that was bad from the start, but that's neither here nor there. Listen, you put up 38.
We're gonna do
38 points, even against a division rival. Right? It's not 40 points against a division rival. And you didn't shut them out, but you pretty much shut them out for all intents and purposes. You stifled them at every opportunity. You have one of the most explosive athletes at quarterback that we've seen in a long time in Justin Fields. He was contained the whole game. Well, now you go up against the Atlanta Falcons. You have Bijan Robinson. For whatever reason, they force-fed the ball to Tyler Algier despite spending a top 10 pick on Bijan Robinson. That doesn't make any sense to me, but Arthur Smith doesn't really care about fantasy stats. And he says that his players don't either, which, Arthur Smith, you're lying to me. You're lying. Listen here, buddy. We know that you won that Fight Club on a technicality, all right? Those RICO charges, they should stand. Either way.
He didn't win in my universe. It's not my
Kyle
Fight
Pitts.
Club champion.
Not a man to recount.
Kyle Pitts, Drake London, combined for, I believe, like 4 catches. And none of them went to Drake London, who was a top 10 pick. Kyle Pitts is not really being used by Arthur Smith. Desmond Ritter. I don't know what's going on there, but despite how weird they are on offense, they still put up 24 points. Bijan Robinson looked real good. He looked really good in the couple touches that he got.
Yeah, he had a couple pretty sick highlights for sure.
And I'm looking at this. I'm like, these are 2 relatively young teams on the rise in relatively weak divisions. They could put up some numbers. There could be some points scored. It is 2 unproven quarterbacks. You don't know exactly what you're going to get for them, especially in the case of Desmond Ritter, who might have a short leash in Atlanta. But if he does, you know who's behind him? Taylor Heineke.
I was like, I don't remember.
Heineken.
He's
Heineken.
And like
Heineken,
that he's a gamer. He's not great, but like
one could say he's a
sure
football
likes
guy.
to play like he is. Yeah. He sure does like to play like he is.
Or he got to a playoff game. I don't remember.
He started in a playoff game. He didn't necessarily take them there.
I couldn't
but
remember how that went.
That was the closest game the Bucks played in the playoffs that year, if I remember correctly. But anyway, gentlemen, these are my games that I'm presenting to you as the watch it. Which one are we picking? BETHKE, I'm gonna let you have the floor.
Oops, that's the wrong one.
I am definitely watching Chiefs Jags.
Chiefs Jags. Patrick?
If I'm gonna be honest with you, I got distracted trying to get those sounds in there for this, so I didn't I didn't catch all the games. But I am gonna have an eye on. Yeah, I am gonna have an eye on the Falcons all year for Bijan, so I'm gonna go ahead and stick with that.
Right, because you're a Peckerhead fan this year.
What?
You're a Peckerhead.
I hate the Falcons, but I like Bijan.
Right, but the Falcons are playing the Peckerheads.
Green Bay.
Oh, I've never Sorry.
You're a Vikings fan. You've never
yeah,
referred
never
to the Packers as the Peckerheads.
Very disappointed in you right now.
I don't know.
Damn.
Very disappointed.
I don't use pecker.
That's the
Ever.
only time you would ever use Peckerhead. I would never otherwise ever use the word Pecker.
I don't know. I just sorry, you shut down my brain. I was like, I have no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah. There you go, kids. You learn something new every
There
day.
you go.
The Peckerheads. Don't be a Peckerhead
Well-
fan.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and say, audience, the definitive game to watch: Kansas City, Jacksonville. You got two stud QBs going at it. What more do you want? Points should be flying high on this one. Let's go on.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's absolutely the most watched.
Let's go to
I
the
just missed
skip
it. I
it.
just missed that part. Oh yeah, the must watch and train wreck are flip flopped right now. Okay. I'm gonna have to mute BETHKE's.
I'm done.
All
But
right.
yes, must watch and train wreck are swapped if you're going to hit one of those.
All right. So on skip it, like I said, these
Fix
are
it
games
later.
that are going to be so bad they're just not worth your time. There's different types of bad, and one of the most egregious types of bad is boring. All right, it's boring. The other type of bad is predictable. How about boring and predictable? The Giants against the Cardinals. I know the Cardinals had a kind of a spunky game against the Washington Commanders, but let's be real, this is a team that's just so goddamn talentless. Both in their roster and in their coaching staff. This is a skip it, but you know what? Let's talk about a team that's like, when you watch them, it's like pulling teeth, right? I heard this on the SB Nation, one of the SB Nation football podcasts. Somebody described the Tennessee Titans against the New Orleans Saints as like the Battle of Stalingrad. I'm like, you know what? I kind of see it. I kind of see it. You have Tannehill, who's regressed pretty badly in the last 2 years. You have no wide receiver help. DeAndre Hopkins is a shell of his former self, right? You don't have a great talented roster. Yeah, you have a coach who can get the most out of his guys. That's such a boring team to watch outside of Derrick Henry. And even Derrick Henry didn't have any highlight plays last week that were really worth mentioning. So I have it here as skip it / any games that the Tennessee Titans play. They do happen to play the Los Angeles Chargers, who might be BETHKE's AFC team because his boy Kellen Moore's out there. Maybe. I don't know.
I was just wishing well. I don't know that I'm have a rooting interest in that. I think I picked them, but that was more for just the parody.
Fair enough. But yeah, I mean that's the reason. That's a team that just brings no entertainment value outside of one guy who may be on his last legs. We don't know that yet for sure. If you have to skip one of these two games, guys, what are we skipping?
Yeah, I'm with you on Tennessee. Let me know when Tennessee has to trade the DeAndre Hopkins contract. I don't even know if it's a long-term one, but he's going to end up being a Ram or a Cowboy, preferably a Cowboy. Most likely a Ram.
He could be a Jet.
Could be a Jet, but there's no point in trading for somebody if you got nobody to throw it to.
Very true. Very true.
Just keep cycling. They'll run like a wild card and just keep cycling quarterbacks under center or wide receivers under center.
Well, you know, he could be a Charger. They do need some. That's not a team that's not so.
He could have been pretty much anything,
healthy.
And he said that nobody wanted him, and that's why he's a Tennessee Titan.
I mean, I don't know. He's. I just feel like this is a guy who's slowing down. He's granted his game has never been built on elite speed and explosiveness. He's just like one of the best position receivers we've seen in a long time. So who knows? Like I feel like his game could age gracefully, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it all plays out in Tennessee for him. Patrick, what are you? What's your vote on the skip it?
Skip it.
The Chargers. Just don't ever watch them.
It's fair. And I believe in the brand. I stake true to the brand, you got to skip that Arizona Cardinals New York Giants game. Now,
It's fair.
let's move on to the train wreck. Why did I hit train wreck and it said must watch?
You just explained it
As
to
I
you.
explained.
Oh, you did? Oh, sorry, I blacked out.
Those buttons,
I'm-
those buttons are accidentally swapped, and that I was gonna
Hmm.
fix them later.
All right, that's fair. let's keep it going. All right, guys. These are two games that I feel could be so bad. They might just be worth watching. The first one that I have up to bat, the Cleveland Browns against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We saw how bad both of them looked. One looked bad and the other one just got punked out by the San Francisco 49ers. They looked really bad. Two negatives could create a positive in this shitstorm of an AFC North matchup. Now, the next one
I mean, the Browns look significantly better than the Bengals did.
on defense, but on offense, that's not like barely. All right,
Didn't they score like a bunch more points?
dog. It doesn't even matter. It's still an ugly ass game that they played on offense. Like it's just, are we really going up to bat for a Deshaun Watson offense that looked really horrible? Just 16 of 29, 55%. Like he averaged 5 yards a pass,
24 whole points.
3 sacks, and an interception.
But
Like
he had more points than the other
It was
team.
also monsooning for a lot of that game. But
yeah, and it's still like it's a
I don't
team
know.
that could still be a train wreck in more ways than one. But continuing on though, the next game that I have to offer you guys, Washington versus Denver. Bruh, this is two diminutive quarterbacks with two coaches completely opposite personalities. You have Sean Payton, who probably realizes he's going to have to find creative ways to win a game because his quarterback is just done. All right. And then you have the Commanders, who they got Sam Howell, who I think is just Baker Mayfield in a different skin. There's some chaos that could come from this matchup. All right. One guy's clearly coaching for his job, and the other one, he's just coaching for his sanity. With that said, what are we thinking? What are we picking? BETHKE, I want to hear it from you first.
All right, I'm not sure what to pick on Trainwreck. Am I agreeing with you on what's the most watchable Trainwreck?
You are picking the game that you believe most will fit the category of a train wreck. In this case, a game that's going to be so bad you kind of want to see it.
Well, there's nothing. Yeah, there's no way that the Washington Generals versus this fighting Sean Paytons isn't going to be a train wreck. That score, there's going to be an obnoxious amount of field goals. There's going to be a suspicious amount of penalties. And at halftime, coming into the start of the second half, the sideline reporter is going to ask Sean Payton why he smells so much like weed.
That I like that. So we're going to pencil you down for the Washington Denver game. Patrick, what say you?
Yeah, I think we have to go with that one too, just based on those two rosters are just it's gonna be sloppy, and you hopefully will get to see some wildness out of that. Some what the hell just happened there? I've never seen that before kind of thing.
Hey, plus we get recaps. We get Magic Johnson recaps of every Washington game now. Big bonus for the commies. Big bonus.
And gentlemen, this is going to be unanimous. I'm in complete agreement with you guys. I kind of just want to tune into the game to see how long before Sean Payton loses his shit and just dresses down Russell Wilson on the sideline.
He's good, bro.
Happen.
He's good.
It's gonna happen.
It's all good, Caesar. It's all good.
Yeah. Now,
he's saying, "What's up, Mean Green?"
Oh, he sure is. Now, gentlemen, let's get to the final part of our football segment. We are talking about our teams. Now, because this is being recorded on Wednesday. Thursday night football is coming up. We're gonna lead it off with Vikings Eagles, and we're gonna finish it with with Bethke's Dallas Cowboys. Now, Patrick, we talked about this in the pre-pod. There really is no like necessarily conversation about predicting this game because by the time this episode comes out, the game will have already finished.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of more about like what do we want to see from our team.
Congratulations on being 2-0. You guys did really well.
Thank you.
We tried to keep it close. Oh, go ahead.
Wait, can I have an alternative one?
What?
Your team lost to Kirk Cousins.
Oh man, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just week 2, you guys will be all right. You're gonna go ahead and win the division anyways.
No,
We
you don't
might,
understand how much Kirk Cousins
good.
losses really get under my skin because I'm such a big Kirk
You like
Cousins
that?
hater. You like that?
You like that?
God, that guy's can't believe he exists. Anyway, yeah, talking Eagles Vikings, just kind of from your perspective as a Vikings fan, what do you really want to see from the Vikings in this game? Just besides a win, right? Besides, obviously, you want to see your team win, but just in general, what kind of thing do you want to see your team do in this game to kind of give you a little bit more hope, building off of what you saw in week 1?
I'd like the defense to just look similar. I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't 28th in the league. So if they can do that, and then the offense just convert, 1 or 2 more plays, that'd be cool. But really, I just don't want a repeat of whatever spanking y'all gave us last year.
28-7. Yep.
Yeah.
Is that all y'all did to them? Is that it?
Yeah, but it all happened in the first half, and it looked like way worse than it probably was.
Like both teams were just like, we're good. Let's run out the clock here.
Yeah, that second half went by in a hurry. Yeah, and in terms of from the Eagles' perspective, the Eagles will have a lot of notable injuries in this game. As we talked about in the pre-pod, they're missing Tanny Gainwell, who was their starting running back. Weirdly, he had the most touches on offense, more than AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert combined. That's a weird thing. That's a sin of some sort. James Bradbury, our re-signed corner, who's just been really good for a really long time. Reed Blankenship, our starting safety, and then Nakobe Dean on IR, our starting linebacker, who has the green dot, as I've been hearing all week. Yeah, in this game, I really want to see the Eagles not get dissected up the middle. I really think this is a game where TJ Hawkinson could have like 120 yards and 2 touchdowns because he's being covered by like a bunch of jabronis. Malik Cunningham, Christian Ellis. The safety group is not very good. So this could be a big game for him.
I love what Caesar's selling.
This could be a really big game for Jordan Addison, depending if he's playing on the outside because James Bradbury is out. Josh Jobe is in. He has like a pedigree in college, being like a former, I believe, 5-star athlete, but that doesn't really mean much. I know it's more of like a measurable thing that the Eagles are just trying to, throw a bunch of darts on the board, see what sticks, right? Like the Eagles, if this game is a game that they win, I believe that this is the game that they win in a shootout and not a game where it ends in a blowout. Because I just think Kirk Cousins can dissect that linebacking crew, that safety group. If he has enough time, right? If he gets enough time, it should be a game that causes me a lot of stress and possibly you a lot of happiness. I think the Eagles eke this out, but it doesn't really matter because I'm not trying to predict what's going to happen. I just think this is what might happen. This might be a back and forth game, a lot closer than last year's performance. And yeah, Bethke, I don't know if you want to address this game at all. I know you don't. I mean, obviously, you want to see a division rival lose. But I don't know if there's anything you want to see from an entertainment perspective, since this will be the only game tomorrow.
Complete blowout by the Vikings. If I had it my way, just
That's
shit house, embarrassing, have the other team yelling at each other. That's the dream, right? But we'll see what I actually get.
We'll see. But let's talk about your team now to finish things off. To finish off tonight's segment for the football episode, we're going to preview a little bit of Jets and Cowboys. Now, this one could have been such a wonderful game. We could have had Aaron Rodgers coming back to the place that, let's face it, he's had a lot of success. He's caused a lot of heartbreaks, but it would have been in a different uniform, different jersey, different team. There's a chance for the Cowboys to rewrite the narrative on that.
Different defense than he's played in that stadium too.
Very true. This would have been the best defense he's ever gone against.
It would have been.
The Cowboys.
We would have had a shot in this week had we gotten a shot. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not. Maybe Aaron Rodgers is pretending to get hurt to avoid this game.
I'll look into that.
Like going over this game. Going over this game, there's no way that the Cowboys aren't the favorites going into this game. I don't know what the betting line is, but I'm pretty sure it's in the favor of the Dallas Cowboys. Probably like
yeah, it's opened up a bit.
It's a home game too, so
is it what, like 6.5, something like that?
I would think I'd be surprised if it wasn't like 9.
9's a lot. 9's a lot.
Yeah, I mean that's too.
Zach Wilson.
Yeah,
it's like home,
because this Jets
like
defense is so good.
Yeah, Jets defense is good enough to carry them through a little bit. Yeah, because that's really what I'm looking at.
Yeah, because this should be a defensive affair. I think just because the Cowboys have so much more firepower on offense, they obviously have the better quarterback. They have the advantage. I think this is a tight game just because that Jets defense is good. They can probably force Dak to do some things that maybe he doesn't want to do. Get the ball out before he's ready, maybe cause an interception, cause some fumbles. At the end of the day, though, I think the Cowboys are just too talented on offense to lose to a guy like Zach Wilson on the other side. I think that Cowboys defense is going to have a field day against that Jets offense. Unless Breece Hall goes off for like 200 yards on the ground, which could happen. I don't know how good the Cowboys rush defense is, but I don't foresee a 200-yard rushing
spot of the defense.
Yeah, I mean that's what you're going to get the biggest test of this week on both ends. Both of the biggest question marks of the Cowboys are going to get tested this weekend. That's the good part about this. It's unfortunate that the quarterback may be the deciding factor because essentially Dak just shouldn't turn the ball over more than the other guy, and we should be good.
Hard to say how good of a test it is for the run defense when you know they're going to be running all the time.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the defensive, although you have to remember Daniel Jones had a little success on the ground. Zach Wilson can also have a little success on the ground. So that's a good test too.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Honestly, my biggest question or curiosity, because those two things you're right. Breece Hall, big test of the run defense, even though obviously stacked the box. And the stout defense is going to test. They're pretty much good at every position defensively. So that's obviously a very good test of where this team is and what this new offense is going to look like and what all it can do. But I want to know who gets the assignment on Garrett Wilson. Is it Diggs? Is it Gilmore? Do they switch? That's what I'm interested to see.
I think that is a good question to wonder because they each present a different type of style of cornerback, right? Where Diggs is more, I would say it's fair to say he's more of a gambler. Like he likes to bait the quarterback.
Yeah.
And sometimes he can get burned, and then sometimes he feasts on quarterbacks who
Game 1 was hard to evaluate, but he's got to be feeling pretty nice after game 1 for him. It was a really nice Trayvon Diggs night.
Yeah, and honestly, when you have two cornerbacks of that caliber, it'll be hard for Garrett Wilson, especially quarterback that he has, but he did have over 1,000 yards with that quarterback last year. So
Lazard is no slouch on the other side.
He's no slouch.
He's a quarterback's best friend kind of receiver. So I feel that he's someone you got to pay attention to. But yeah, I'm mostly interested to see how they handle the dynamics of that as far as anything. Is Diggs just kind of yielding to Gilmore? Is Gilmore aware of times when he's not going to have the physical ability to match up where Diggs will be a more reliable part, honestly, is Gilmore going to help Diggs with this gambling shit? Because if Diggs gets a little more disciplined, now we're talking a guy that I can just pay checks to and not have to worry about, So we'll see.
We'll see. With that, I gotta ask you, what do you think? What do you think Cowboys do in this game?
Should be a win. I definitely feel like, of course, it always comes down to this, but that boy Dakota, if we end up losing this game, I'm sadly sure that it'll have something to do with 4 more than it'll have to do with some others. The run defense is the second suspect, but the Dakota show is going to get a test. But hey, at the same time, this could be the first test for him to be like, look, this is a new offense and a new me. Suck my fucking big fat dick. Who knows? I'm rooting for that outcome, but ultimately, it is about him not doing the CTE ass bullshit Josh Allen did to help us get the fuck out of that game with a win.
Listen, I don't think that Dak Prescott's gonna dive for a first down with 7 yards to go.
I
On a
never
dive,
know.
like
I
Josh
think
Allen.
I think I can trust him to not do this as well, but we're gonna find out what this new Dak focused, Dak empowered offense looks like unleashed, because as well as them not being that good on the first week, the trial week, whatever you want to call it, it just felt like no matter how that game started in such a clunky, clusterfucky way for the offense that they had no real time to build a chemistry, to build onto something, because they didn't have to go back and forth sparring with someone. They just kind of were handed the lead and they were just like, oh, all right, like this is nice. And so I think that was hard to do. So I'm very excited and I hope to be 2-0. And at that point, you have to start addressing the Dallas Cowboys as the future Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys.
No, but you know what? I like where your head's at. I like where your head's at. Patrick, any thoughts that you have? Any final thoughts that you have on this game regarding the Jets with the Cowboys?
Should be fun to see both defenses. It's just a shame you don't get to see both defenses competing against QB1, but what are you gonna do? Yeah, can't help it. I'll have some eyes on it. I might not watch it too intently if it gets out of hand early, but we'll see.
If it gets out of hand early in a good way for me, then we're definitely talking about the future Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys.
If it gets out of hand early,
Sure.
BETHKE, I'll let you dominate the first 5 minutes of just. I'll let you have a soliloquy.
I don't even
regarding
think
the
I could
Cowboys.
do that. I just want to stand proud. I would actually just want to sit there proudly while you played the clip of Scott Stapp and Creed and that Thanksgiving performance just behind me.
Europeans will never understand this.
With all that said, my final thoughts on this game are, there should be a defensive slugfest at the beginning. I think at the end, though, the Dallas Cowboys will pull away because they're just that much more talented overall as a team. This is, of course, a team that I picked to win the NFC East. So we'll see how this game goes. Wilder things have happened. The Cowboys have lost to teams they shouldn't have lost to before. They lost to a Sam Darnold-led Jets team before. So it's not out of the possibility that they could lose to Zach Wilson.
I heard
yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to remember. I remember this point that I thought was kind of a good one. Who was it? David Moore from the Dallas Morning News was on the radio, and he brought up something Dick Motta used to talk about, the old Mavs coach, about the wounded animal theory, that the Jets, when they initially got, they initially took that wound last week, and adrenaline fought back and won that game, that they're going to be just so effed coming into this one, so tired and not ready for it.
It's a lot about the same turnovers. Like if their quarterback starts giving them away early, it might be just a repeat of the first week. They might get lucky, but it is a much different defense, much different.
Yeah, but we'll see. I think where the Jets defense could end up faltering is just they might be on the field significantly longer than the Dallas Cowboys defense,
which is probably the idea, I would guess.
Yeah, so it might be a lot of ball control. This might have like an old SEC feel to it, where it's like one team is like clearly better than the other, but the other team could win. Yeah, but it could be like a 9-6.
No, the NFL
I'm not-
version's like 17-12 or something goofy like that.
It's like 20-17.
Yeah.
Really, that's like the SEC equivalent, and I think that's what we might see. But I think the Cowboys win. Let's just say, I don't know if it's a scoregami or not, but like 20-8, 20-8, because the Cowboys don't really need to put up more points than that. With that said, that concludes the NFL portion.
Only if it's
of
four
Past the Rocks
safeties.
episode. Only if it's 4 safeties.
And
That would be a wild thing to accomplish. Yes?
About 2 minutes before we ended, I realized that I was supposed to. We're supposed to start with you every week for the next like 16 weeks.
That's fine. No worries.
So
We'll start it. We can make up for that next week.
Better luck next week.
yeah, just help me remember because I'll probably forget again. But that is how we would like to do this.
All right. Well, I'll make a note to remind you. But with that said, gentlemen, that concludes the NFL segment. Good luck to all your teams except Patrick's and Bethke's. Fly Eagles fly.
All right, deuces.
Later.
Later.
That concludes this week's Pass the Rock. Thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, share. Write it down on a piece of paper, put it in a bottle, and throw it out into the ocean for someone to find out about the podcast that way. Maybe tie the note to a carrier pigeon. Who knows? Lots of things you can do. Mostly the point is we would really like it if you kept listening and found a way to get more people to listen. Thanks. This is Pass the Rock.